some of our new students have been putting in over the past few weeks. A couple things to note. Our actors will be wearing masks. We ask that you also keep your mask on and keep your distance throughout the performance. And if you're going to use your phone to look at our online program or take pictures, we ask that you keep the brightness down, turn the sound off, and turn the flash off. I think that's everything. Sit back and enjoy the show.
You must tell me all about yourself. Just think, if it hadn't been for you, I would be at the bottom of the lake now. What a horrible tragedy that would have been to die in such a way. It's natural that I should want to know something about the man who saved you from that.
I don't like to talk about myself.
You're still a young man, aren't you?
31.
Are you?
Yep, since last November.
I'm just 20. 11 years between us.
Just the right ages, aren't we?
Do you think so?
11 years? Ideal.
10 and a half.
Hey?
I was born in June.
Oh, were you? That's better yet.
Do you think so, Lord Brookfield?
Hey?
Lord Brookfield.
How on earth did you know it?
Oh, I am not so stupid as all that.
You recognized me.
No, I have never seen you.
A photo.
No.
Then how did you know?
Lord Brookfield is a well-known man. The paper said he was coming to the hotel. I knew every other guest.
But 3 or 4 others arrived this morning.
Americans.
Oh.
You are English, I can see that right away.
Well, how clever of you.
No, Lord Brookfield.
How curious that I should meet you in this way. Informal, so to speak.
Odd, wasn't it? Look how my clothes are sticking to me.
Yes, you had a better go change.
And you?
I'm rather wet myself.
Will you take me back to the hotel?
The sun is very hot. Here.
Oh, would you rather stay?
Tell me, can you swim?
Eh?
Can you swim?
Lord Brookfield? Of course I can't.
That's curious.
Curious?
Neither can I.
Oh, but you swam splendidly, clothes and all the way from the other side of the lake.
Did I?
Why, certainly. One flies with you magnificent overhand strokes.
Lunch.
Why, certainly.
I could have sworn I waited.
You really are too modest, Lord Brookfield.
Of course, I might have swum, but the water only comes as far as the waist.
That means nothing.
No. Well, if I had plunged, then my hair would have been wet.
It dried the sun.
Yes, but my cigarettes.
The case is waterproof.
Still, the matches won't light. See?
Lord Brookfield. Don't try to deny that you saved my life.
That is what I'm trying to do.
I beg your pardon?
I jumped in without thinking. It's the natural thing to do. I heard you scream for help, but I knew the moment the water came to my waist, if it went any deeper, that I should have to pop her out myself. Well, I was spared the humiliation. The pond isn't over 3 feet deep in any other place, so I waded the whole 20 feet from one end to the other. Oh, and I can't swim.
But I was drowning. Drowning!
Are you in the habit of drowning often?
Lord Brookfield.
Oh, I nearly forgot to mention.
What?
That I saw you jump in.
Oh.
It was pleasant while it lasted, and romantic. Why, romantic doesn't even begin to describe it.
How came?
Helpless, unconscious, and you didn't even remember. Not even your shoes. That wasn't clever. Very clever. Oh, and the hand trying to pull you down to the bottom. That was a touch of genius. I was willing to have a little fun.
Not a gentleman?
No, I'm not Lord Brookfield.
Not Lord Brookfield? No. Then who on earth are you?
I'm a friend of his.
A friend.
A close friend. Very close.
Who?
We're not related, but we see a lot of each other. We're thick. Very thick.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm his valet.
Oh. And you kissed me! A valet, you dare kiss me!
At your request.
But, a valet? A valet?
I'm a gentleman, one of the best there
Oh,
is.
you're insolent. Oh,
That's my handkerchief.
you coward, you.
Listen to me.
I won't.
Listen to me.
I don't want to talk to you.
I'll help you.
I don't want your help. Oh,
Then you're silly.
how dare you?
I'll make a bargain with you.
What dealings can there be between us?
Did you hear the whistling a minute ago?
Well,
That's Brookfield.
well,
He is following a path, and that path leads here.
well.
You and I might be very good friends.
Oh, you mean.
A valet doesn't get paid very well.
No. Still,
If anything's to come of it,
comes with what?
you understand me. Are your clothes still wet?
Yes.
Enough said, quick!
You won't tell? I'll remember you.
At last!
Henry, something dreadful has happened.
What's the matter?
I've lost your poems.
They weren't worthy of you. I will write you some more.
No, thank you. Never any more poems for me. Oh, how could I have been so mad, so rash, so imprudent?
Thank heaven for your madness, your rashness, your imprudence.
Oh, be sensible, Henry. Can't you see what a terrible thing this is for me? Suppose anybody finds these poems. What will they think?
They will think that a man once loved a woman more devotedly than any man loved a woman before. But they will not know what man it was.
What good is that if everybody will know what woman it was?
But how will they know?
How will they know? Why, my name is written all over them. My silly, unhappy name. Oh, if only I'd been christened Mary Jane, or Gladys Muriel, or Beatrice, or Francesca, or Guinevere, or something quite common. But Aurora? Aurora? I'm the only Aurora in London, and everyone knows it. I believe I'm the only Aurora in the world, and it's horribly easy to write to it. Oh, Henry, why couldn't you try and restrain your feelings a little in common consideration for me? Why couldn't you try and write with some little reserve?
Write poems to you with reserve? You asked me that?
Yes, of course, dear. It was very nice of you, and I know it's my fault as much as yours. I ought to have noticed your poems ought never to have been addressed to a married woman.
How I wish they had been addressed to an unmarried woman. How I wish they had.
Indeed, you have no right to wish anything of the sort. They are quite unfit for anybody but a married woman. That's just the difficulty. What will my sisters-in-law think of them?
Have you got sisters-in-law?
Yes, of course I do. Do you suppose I'm an angel?
I do. Heaven help me, I do. Or I did. Or
Listen to me, dear. It's very nice of you to live with me in a dream and to love me and so on. But I can't help my husband having disagreeable relatives, can I?
Of course they are your husband's relatives. I forgot that. Forgive me, Aurora.
The fact is, Teddy's got nothing but relatives. He has 8 sisters, 6 half-sisters, and ever so many brothers. But I don't mind his brothers. I'm certain as I'm sitting here that Georgina stole those poems out of my workbooks.
She will not understand them, I think.
Oh, won't she? She'll understand them only too well. She'll understand more harm than ever was in them. Nasty, vulgar-minded cat.
Oh, don't think of people that way. Don't think of her at all. Aurora, do you remember the night when I sat here at your feet and read you those poems for the first time?
I shouldn't have let you. I see that now. When I think of Georgina sitting at Teddy's feet, reading them to him for the first time, I feel I should go distracted.
Yes, you're right. It'll be a profanation.
Oh! I don't care about the profanation! What will Teddy think? What will he do? You don't seem to think a bit about Teddy.
To me, Teddy is nothing, and Georgina less than nothing.
You'll see how much less than nothing she is. If you think the woman can't do any harm because she's nothing more than a scandal-mongering, dowdy ragbag, you've greatly mistaken. Henry, help me. Find a way out of this for me, and I'll bless you as long as you live. Oh, how wretched I am.
And oh, how happy I am.
Don't be selfish.
Yes, I deserve that. I think if I were going to the stake with you, I should be so happy with you that I can hardly feel your danger more than my own.
You're a dear darling boy, Henry, but you're no use. I need somebody to tell me what to do.
Your heart will tell you at the right time. I have thought deeply over this, and I know we two must do. Sooner or later.
No, I would do nothing improper, nothing dishonorable.
If you did, you would no longer be Aurora. Our course is perfectly simple, perfectly straightforward, perfectly stainless and true. We love one another. I am not ashamed of that. I'm ready to go out and cling to all of London as simply as I will your husband. Let's go to him now, hand in hand, bid him farewell. Walk out of the house without concealment and subterfuge, freely and honestly, with full honor and self-respect.
And where shall we go to?
We shall not depart by a hair's breadth from the ordinary natural current of our lives. We are going to the theater when the loss of the poems compels us to take action at once. We shall go to the theater still, but we shall leave your diamonds here, for we cannot afford diamonds, and we do not need them.
I've told you already that I hate diamonds. Only Teddy insists on painting me all over in them. You need not preach simplicity to me.
I never thought of doing so, dearest. I know that these trivialities mean nothing to you. What was I saying? Oh, yes. When we come back from the theater, we shall go to my home, now and henceforth our home. And in due course of time, when we are divorced, we shall go through whatever idle legal ceremony you may desire. I attach no importance to the law. My love is not created by the law, nor can it be bound or loosed by it. That is simple enough and sweet enough, is it not? Here are flowers for you. I have the tickets. We shall ask our husband to lend us the carriage to show no malice, no grudge between us. Come.
pretty obvious. Lack of inventiveness, I should say.
Yes, that's exactly what you'll say.
Where do you want to go for dinner?
I don't care. I'm not very hungry.
Well, I just had breakfast. Suppose we wait until after the show?
But that'll make it pretty late, won't it?
Not with the little stinker we're seeing tonight. What I've heard about it, we'll be at Blake's by 10 o'clock.
You ought to be fair to these plays.
These plays fair to me.
I've never seen you walk out on a musical.
Oh, that musical isn't opening tonight.
No?
Darling, you have to learn the rules. With every musical, there are always 4 changes of title and 3 postponements. They liked it in New Haven, but it needs a lot of work.
Oh. I was hoping it was a musical.
You have such a light mind.
Not a bit. Musicals somehow have a humanizing effect on you. After a serious play, you join the proletariat in the subway, and I listen to a lecture on the drama. After a musical, you take me home in a taxi, and you make a few passes.
Well, now, wait a minute, darling. That is a very inaccurate piece of reporting.
Oh, I will admit that after the Barian play, you told me I had authentic beauty, and that's a hell of a thing to say to a girl. It wasn't until after our first musical you told me I had nice legs, and I have too.
You know, for a minister's daughter, you know a lot about life. Where did you learn it?
In the choir loft.
I'll explain that to you sometime, darling. The close connection between eroticism and religion.
Religion never gets past the choir loft. Oh, which reminds me, I'd better tell Father please not to wait up for me tonight.
You know, I've never been able to rationalize it.
What?
My falling in love with a girl who lives in Brooklyn.
Falling in love? You're not stooping to the articulate, are you?
The only way I can regain my self-respect is to keep you in New York.
Did you say keep?
Oh, no. I've come to the conclusion that you're holding out for legalities.
I can afford to be a good girl for quite a few years yet.
I can't wait that long. Where could we be married in a hurry? Say, tonight.
I'm afraid Father will insist on officiating.
Oh, God, I bet your father could make even the marriage service sound pedestrian.
Are you, by chance, running a review of it?
Forgive me, darling, it's an occupational disease. You know what? I think I'll give that play tonight good notes.
Darling, don't pretend you love me that much.
Be sure to tell your father not to wait up tonight.
I think I'd better tell him to wait up.
I'll telephone Winchell to publish the bands.
Nevertheless,
All right. Everything formal and legal, but no later than next month.
darling, I'll talk it over with Father and set the date.
We'll have to see what's in rehearsal. There will be a lot of other first nights in October. Even Teddy agrees.
You're so sweet with him, and he's very fond of you.
Well, Teddy always has been my favorite brother.
Favorite? Were there more of you?
There was another brother, Jonathan.
I've never heard of him. Your aunt's never mentioned him.
No, we don't like to talk about Jonathan. He left Brooklyn very early, by request. Jonathan was the kind of boy who liked to cut worms in two with his teeth.
What became of him?
I don't know. You see, he wanted to become a surgeon like grandfather, but he wouldn't go to medical school first. His practice got him into trouble. Then he was
Don't
running to-
bother going any further, darling. I need to run over to speak to Father. Before I go out with you, he likes to pray over me a little. More so now after hearing of your brother's troubled past. I'll be right back. Up through the cemetery.
If you're quick, I'll have time to lead you beside the still waters.
Could you not see that I wanted him to go?
Yes, to write the letter.
And that I might speak to you alone?
About the same thing?
Precisely.
But there's nothing more, Mrs. Tesman, absolutely nothing.
Oh, there is. There is a great deal going on, you see that? Sit here and we'll have a cozy, confidential chat.
But, my dear Mrs. Tesman, I really was on the point of going.
Oh, you can't be in such a hurry. Well, now tell me something about your life at home.
Oh, that is just what I care least to speak about.
But to me, dear? Why, little schoolfellows?
Yes, but you were a class above me. Oh, how dreadfully afraid of you I was then.
Afraid of me?
Yes, from when we met on the stairs, you used to always pull my hair.
Did I really?
Yes, and once you said you would burn it off my head.
Oh, that was all nonsense, of course.
Yes, but I was so silly in those days. And since then, too, we have drifted so far, far apart. Our circles have been so entirely different.
Well then, we must try to drift together again. There now.
Oh, how good and kind you are. I'm not used to such kindness.
My dear Thora.
My name is Thea.
Oh, why, of course! I meant Thea. So, you're not accustomed to goodness and kindness, Thea? Not in your own home?
Oh, if only I had a home. But I haven't any. I've never had a home.
I almost suspected as much.
Yes.
I don't quite remember. Was it not as housekeeper that you first went to Mr. Elfsted's?
I really went as governess, but his late wife, was an invalid and rarely left her room, so I had to look after the housekeeping as well.
And then, at last, you became mistress of the house.
Yes, I did.
Let me see. About how long ago was that?
My marriage,
Yes.
5 years ago.
To be sure, it must be that. Eilert Loveborg has been in your neighborhood about 3 years, hasn't he?
Eilert Loveborg? Yes, he has.
Had you known him before in town here?
Scarcely at all. I mean, I knew him by name, of course.
But you saw a good deal of him out in the country.
Yes, he came to us nearly every day. He gave the children lessons, you see. For in the long run, I couldn't manage it all myself.
I know that's clear. And your husband, I suppose he is often away from home.
Yes, being sheriff, he has to travel about a good deal in his district.
My poor sweet Thea. Now, you must tell me everything exactly as it stands.
Well, then you must question me.
What sort of man is your husband, Thea? I mean, you know, in everyday life. Is he kind to you?
I'm sure he means well and everything.
I should think he must be altogether too old for you. There is at least 20 years difference between you, is there not?
Yes, that is true too. Everything about him is repellent to me. We have not a thought in common. No single point of sympathy, he and I.
Oh, but is he not fond of you all the same in his own way?
Oh, I really don't know. I think he regards me simply as useful property. That it doesn't cost much to keep me. I'm not expensive.
That is stupid of you.
Oh, it cannot be otherwise. Not with him. I don't think he really cares for anyone but himself. And perhaps a little for the children.
And for Eilert Loveborg, Thea?
For Eilert Loveborg, what puts that thought in your head? No. I must make a clean breast of it at once. For myself, not in any case.
Why, my dear
Well, to
Thea.
make a long story short, my husband did not know that I was coming.
What? Your husband didn't know it?
No, of course not. For that matter, he was away from home himself. He was traveling. Oh, I could bear it no longer, had I couldn't indeed, so utterly alone as I should have been in future.
Well, and then?
So, I packed up some of my things, what I needed most, as quietly as possible, and then I left the house.
Without a word.
Yes, and took the train to town.
think of you daring to do it?
What else could I have done?
What do you think your husband will say when you go home again?
Back to him.
Of course.
I shall never go back to him again.
Then you have left your home for good and all?
Yes, there is nothing else to be done.
But then to take flight so openly.
Well, it is impossible to keep things of that sort secret.
But what do you think people will say of you, Thea?
They may say what they like. For what I care, I have done only what I had to do.
And what are your plans now? What do you think of doing?
I don't know yet. I only know this, that I must live here, where Albert Lovborg is, if I am to live at all.
My sweet Thea, how did this friendship between you and Eilar Lovborg come about?
Oh, it grew up gradually. I gained a sort of influence over him.
Indeed.
He dropped his old habits, not because I asked him to, for I never dared do that. But, of course, he saw how repulsive they were to me, and so he dropped them.
And then you have reclaimed him, as the saying goes, my little Thea.
So he says himself, at any rate, that he, on his side, has made a real human being of me. He's taught me to think and to understand so many things.
Does he give you lessons too, then?
No, not exactly lessons. But he talked to me, talked about such an infinity of things. And then came a lovely, happy time when I began to share in his work, when he allowed me to help him.
He did he?
Yes, he never wrote anything without my assistance.
You were two good comrades, in fact.
Yes, comrades, fancy Hedda. That is exactly the word he used. Oh, I could feel perfectly happy. And yet, I cannot. For I don't know how long it will last.
Are you no surer of him than that?
A woman's shadow stands between Albert Lovborg and me.
Who can that be?
I don't know. Someone he knew in his past. Someone he has never been able wholly to forget.
And what has he told you about this?
He has only once, quite vaguely, alluded to it.
Well, and what did he say?
He said that when they parted, she threatened to shoot him with a pistol.
Nonsense. No one does that sort of thing here.
No. And that is why I think it must have been that red-haired singing woman whom he once...
Yes, very likely.
For I remember they used to say of her that she carried loaded firearms.
Oh, and of course it must have been she.
And now, fancy Hedda, I hear that this singing woman, she is in town again. Oh, I don't know what to do.
Hush! Here comes Hesman.
Charming day it has been, Miss Fairfax.
Pray don't talk to me about the weather, Mr. Worthing. Whenever people talk to me about the weather, I always feel quite certain they mean something else. And that makes me so nervous.
I do mean something else.
I thought so. In fact, I am never wrong.
And I would like to be allowed to be taken advantage of Lady Ragna's temporary absence.
I would certainly advise you to do so. My mom has a way of coming back suddenly into a room that I've often been to speak to her about.
Miss Fairfax, ever since I met you, I have admired you more than any girl I've ever met since I met you.
Yes, I am quite well aware of the fact. And I wish that in public, at any rate, you had been more demonstrative. For me, you've always had me irresistible fascination. Even before I met you, I was far from indifferent to you. We live, as I hope you know, Mr. Worthing, in an age of ideals. The fact is constantly mentioned in the more expensive monthly magazines and has reached the provincial pulpits, I am told. And my ideal has always been to love someone of the name of Ernest. There's something in that name that inspires absolute confidence. The moment Algernon first mentioned me, that he had a friend called Ernest, I knew I was destined to love you.
You really love me, Gwendolyn?
Passionately.
Darling, you don't know how happy you've made me.
My own Ernest.
But you don't mean to say that you couldn't love me if my name wasn't Ernest.
But your name is Ernest.
Yes, I know it is, but supposing it was something else. Do you mean to say you couldn't love me then?
Ah, that is clearly a metaphysical speculation. And like most metaphysical speculations, has very little reference at all to the actual facts of real life as we know them.
Well, personally, darling, to speak quite candidly, I don't much care for the name of Ernest. I don't think it suits me at all.
It suits you perfectly. It is a divine name. It has a music of its own. It produces vibration.
Well, really, Gwendolyn, I must say I think there are much nicer names. I think Jack, for instance, a charming name.
Jack? No. There is very little music in the name Jack, if any at all. Indeed, it does not thrill. It produces absolutely no vibrations. I've been with several Jacks, and they all, without exception, were more than usually plain. Besides, Jack is a notorious domesticity for John, and I pity any woman who's married to a man called John. She would probably never be allowed to know the entrancing pleasure of a single moment's solitude. The only really safe name is Ernest.
Gwendolyn, I must get christened at once. I mean, we must get married at once.
Married, Mr. Worden?
Well, surely, you know that I love you, and you led me to believe, Miss Fairfax, that you were not completely indifferent to me.
I adore you, but you have not proposed to me yet. Nothing has been said at all about marriage. The subject has not even been touched on.
Well, may I propose to you now?
I think it would be an admirable opportunity, and to spare you any possible disappointment, Mr. Worthing, I think it only fair to tell you quite frankly, beforehand, that I am fully determined to accept you.
Gwendolyn,
Yes, Mr. Worthing, what have you got to say to me?
you know what I have got to say to you.
Yes, but you don't say it.
Gwendolyn, will you marry me?
Of course I will, darling. How long you've been about it? I'm afraid you've had very little experience in how to propose.
My own one. I've never loved anyone in the world but you.
Yes, but men often propose for practice. I know my brother Gerald does. All my girlfriends tell me so. What wonderfully